Well, certainly the pushback from the White House has been that they argue that the Attorney General has said that he and the president did not directly discuss the Roger Stone case and that no request for any kind of interference, influence or involvement took place. Now, the larger argument is that the president, through his tweeting and his public statements, makes his views on these things so well known that the Attorney General would certainly know where the president falls on this without a specific conversation. And that's what has pushed so many of these former officials to say they believe this is the kind of interference that erodes how the public views the work of the Department of Justice, its integrity, its fairness, and that is their argument. And one of the things that they are calling on federal workers to do who are currently employed either in the Department of Justice or across the federal government is to be willing to stand up themselves, to push back and refuse to carry out any orders that they consider to be illegal or improper, to go through the right channels to report that, and if necessary, to resign and make public, where appropriate, the concerns that they have. They say that they need that kind of involvement and activism, if you will, from employees because they don't expect that Bill Barr will resign his post, given his closeness to the president. It's an election year, and he and the president both say they have not acted improperly. They do think that this is a case where there's a lot of politics in the environment. They're pushing back firm, and we'll have to see how it goes when Roger Stone is actually given his sentence for those 7 counts of lying to Congress and witness tampering. Eamon?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell live for us at the White House this morning. Kelly, thank you. With me now, Glenn Kirshner, a former federal prosecutor, now an MSNBC legal analyst, one of the best minds in the business. Glenn, great to have you with us. First of all, let me get your thoughts as a former DOJ official yourself. Would you be willing to add your name to the letter? And I apologize because I haven't gone through the 1,100 names, but do you agree with the sentiments expressed in it?
Eamon, I absolutely agree with the sentiments, and I agree with the ultimate conclusion that Bill Barr must resign if we are to preserve the integrity of the Department of Justice, restore the public's confidence in the Department of Justice. You know, when you look at what Bill Barr has done, Eamon, a very quick recap shows that he has basically disqualified himself as an honest broker of the law. And it started really with his confirmation hearing where, when asked if the White House or the president had directed or suggested that he should open investigations into anybody, at first he pretended to struggle with the word suggested, and then he answered, "I don't know." I'm sorry, that's not a perjury-proof answer. If you do know and you say you don't know, that is perjury. It's a false statement to Congress. And then we've seen he misrepresented the Mueller investigation. He is trying to unravel the origins of the Russia investigation. He now has given an unbelievable, unwarranted, unjust break in sentencing to Roger Stone. And Amy Berman Jackson is going to have something to say about that both tomorrow in a conference call and Thursday at Roger Stone's sentencing. And now we've heard he's appointed another prosecutor to try to undo the Mike Flynn guilty plea. He has disqualified himself over and over and over again, and that is why more than 1,000 former federal prosecutors have said, you must resign.
Give me a sense, and by virtue of your past position, I'm sure you still have a pulse of what it's like internally at the Department of Justice right now. What are you hearing about morale at the DOJ?
I think morale is at a low point. I was with the department for 24 of my 30 years as a federal prosecutor. I have countless friends and former colleagues who are there, and they are not so quietly talking about, not publicly, mind you, but they are talking about how, you know, they may be called upon one day to work a particular case, and then if somebody doesn't like the outcome, if they have followed the facts to a just result, and it happens to not comport with one of President Trump's friends or acolytes or associates and what the president and Bill Barr thinks should happen, they could see themselves on the chopping block. They could see themselves the subject of an angry, berating presidential tweet. And then, you know, they and their family could actually literally be in harm's way. We've seen what happened to the whistleblower. We've seen what happened to the 4 career apolitical prosecutors who filed a really perfect sentencing memo in the Roger Stone case saying the guidelines call for 7 to 9 years. One, John Kravis, a former colleague of mine in the homicide section, had to actually not only withdraw from the case, but resign from the federal government. This, Department of Justice is being dismantled by Trump and Bill Barr, case by case and investigation by investigation.
Yeah, lots to track in that department. Glenn Kirshner, thank you very much. Appreciate your insights as always. Up next, early voting going on in Nevada ahead of Saturday's caucus.